I enjoy doing things with my son and my daughter and doing things together. I like it when he likes to help me, carry wood in for the fireplace. Sometimes it's not a huge help. If anything, it slows me down. But I like it when he likes to do that with me and he wants to help. He wants to get involved. I know how much God enjoys when we get involved with what He's doing. When we say, God, I want to help. I want to help what you're doing. And hopefully we aren't a hinder to what He's doing. Hopefully we're actually helping the kingdom grow, helping people get closer to God. And you know what? It takes vision, doesn't it? It takes vision to get along with what God's doing. It takes vision to have an idea what God wants. We have to think about that. It takes faith. It's one thing to have a vision and say, okay, this is what I see that God wants. And then it takes faith to actually do that. And just an example, I think, Julie seeing that vision for the preteen ministry and takes faith to do it. And look, it's growing, it's doing great. That's just a great example about how we need to do this. But in order to have that vision and that faith, you have to take time. I remember last week I encouraged everybody to take time out of every day to spend with God. How are you doing? Oh no, he's checking us up on our homework. Oh no. I want to encourage you to keep at it. This should be a way of life. Not just something you do for a day or do for a week. It should be a way of life, spending time with God every day. I want to encourage you to do that. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. And finally, it takes endurance. Takes that vision, takes that faith, and it takes endurance. And then after a long time, you can look back and see, wow, what a great history I have. I had that vision, I had that faith, and I had that endurance, and look, I'm there. Or we're here. We need that as well. And I think this is a great story, great life event. Sometimes I get caught. I say this is a story, which is a story, but sometimes we tell stories that aren't true, right? But this is a life event that happened. This is a life event where Jesus used 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed so many. And it's amazing. I took the passage out of John 6, but it's also there in Matthew. I think Matthew 14 there. In Matthew, it's interesting that he accounts that this happened right after Jesus found out about the beheading of John the Baptist. So he was a little emotional at this time. And so he took this time and he was healing so many people. I'm not going to read this passage again, but he was healing so many people and they were just coming to him in great throngs. And it says 5,000 men were there. There in the Matthew account, chapter 14, 21, it says, that's not accounting the women and children. So how many do you think were there? Let's say 12,000. 1,000 for each extra basket, okay? 12,000 people are there to listen to Jesus and be fed by Him. That's amazing. How much land do you think that would cover? Quite a bit, right? Do you think they could all hear Jesus really well when He was speaking? I don't know. Maybe Jesus was doing a miracle with that everybody could hear. Or maybe there was a great little hillside where He was speaking at. There's so much, just like at the end of John wrote, if there was all the books in the world are not enough to put what Jesus did here while He was here on the earth. There's so many miracles within miracles that we will never know about. We can ask about once we're there. But from this passage here, I want us to think about what we can glean from this. What we can glean about what we need to learn about ourselves and how God wants to use us. There's a lot to that. And so I want to ask this question. Who was the most blessed? Who was the most blessed one in this real life event? And that's where I wrote in this story. I said, that's not enough. This is a real life event that this happened. And you know what? We have to read the Bible and make that decision. Do we believe what happened in the Bible? We do. If you don't believe the things that are written in the Bible, then that's detrimental to your faith. I really believe that. So who do you think is the most blessed here in this story? Probably the people who received the food, right? If you like to eat like me, I would say the people that were fed. And that, who knows, that might have been the best fish and chips that have ever been made. You know, I don't know. That came to them, it was nice and fried. But I'm sure it was amazing. I could comment a lot about that, and just amazing how that would happen. Can you imagine if you were one of the apostles just watching it, you're kind of seeing what was happening, and you're like, okay, I'm going to look, see what's happening. I'm going to watch. And just every time he reached back in there was another fish. Just an amazing thing. Or perhaps it was the disciples who were witnessing that miracle. How that would add to their testimony. I was there, I saw it, he kept breaking it, and it kept appearing. And there were 12 baskets left over. So much more than what was started with. Telling that story and seeing on people's faces as you're telling that story, people not believing, wouldn't it just add to your emotion as you're telling it? Don't you believe me? It's like, sure, it's so commonplace. Something like that happened. So maybe it was the apostles and disciples that saw that happen. I don't think so. I don't think it was either one of those groups. I think the one that was most blessed by being there at that moment was the boy. I think the boy was the most blessed and most changed by being there. Now Andrew, who brought the boy up, Peter, Simon Peter's brother, brought him up. He said, look, here's a boy with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And you're reading that and say, oh, Andrew's got faith. Good job, Andrew. And then he ruins it. He says, but what's that to us? That's nothing. It says 200 denarii, which is 200 days' wages, about 8 months. Man's wages couldn't feed all these people. So why did Andrew bring this boy up? I think the boy offered what he had. I believe the boy was seeing what was going on. He was there in the group. He heard Jesus say, feed these guys. And it says there that Jesus, he knew what he was about to do. Jesus knew what he was about to do. He was just testing their faith. So our faith gets tested, okay? It happens. And the boy, I think he heard, and he came up and said, I've got some 5 loaves and 2 fish for the master. And Andrew said, Jesus, here's this boy. You know? And Jesus probably looked at that boy going, got one here. I got a believer. He's actually been listening to what I've been saying. You guys have seen so much, and you're doubting, still doubting. He was blessed to be the one who was used to bless so many. You know, maybe as he went walking around and hundreds of people that he was around saying, that was such good fish, such good bread. He says, that was mine. I carried that here. How could you carry all that? Well, God used what I had. Jesus used what I had to feed all you guys. That's interesting. Could Jesus have created the fish and the bread out of nowhere and just used that to feed everybody? Of course. But he used what the little boy brought to feed everybody. And that's the point. He used what was offered to feed everybody else. If that boy would have brought something else, he would have used that. Jesus used what he had for himself to be used to bless so many. And I think we need to think about that. You know, it's easy to look at yourself and say, I just don't have that much to offer to God, to Jesus. I don't have much money, or maybe you think, I don't have much talent. I don't have much time. And you know what you're doing when you say things like that? You're not doubting yourself, you're doubting God. When you say, I don't have much to offer God, then you're saying, God can't do that much with what I have to offer. And thankfully, that's not what the boy thought. The boy said, oh, there's only 12,000 people. I should probably only get half this. Who knows, maybe he did. But he gave it, and look what Jesus did with what he offered. He did something amazing. Can you read that right there? Bill Cook, can you read that? What's it say? Yeah, you can't even see it. That little part right there, so little. Let me make it bigger for you, like Jesus did with the bread and fish. Don't let the size of your gift keep you from giving it away. Don't let the size of your gift stop you from giving it to God. Because what we give, God can use, can't He? Does He need it? Did Jesus need this food? No. He understood. He had compassion of all the people that were there because we needed it. We need it. So what is our vision? Ken read a couple weeks ago, and next week is the beginning of us challenging you to give a little extra. Through everyone giving their fish and loaves, we were able to feed many. Don't you know that's our goal? Through everybody doing what you can, all of your fishes and loaves, we can do so much. And so we have asked you to try to give $5 to $10 more a week for 3 months, starting next week, the beginning of February. So February, March, April. And what is our faith? Our faith is no giving is too small for God. God will do immeasurably more than we can imagine. Do we believe that? I believe so. To say it's only $5, what difference is it going to make? Once again, that's doubting God. The boy's job was to give the little bit. And it was up to Jesus and God to do the immeasurable, right? Don't try to put yourself in the place of Jesus or God. It's not your place to multiply everything. It's not your place to make all of the blessings come. Your place is to offer. Sometimes we get confused in our roles. Okay, Jesus, I'll break the bread and the fish. Jesus says, how much did you come up with? Came up with 5 loaves and 2 fish broken up. Because we need to give it to Jesus and give it to God to break up. We need to give it to Jesus and give to God to see what He can do with it. That's why sometimes I really believe God likes to use the less talented sometimes, the ones that are not so skilled, to do amazing things. So without a doubt, they have to give praise and credit to God, right? That's probably why God is using me to speak to people. Okay, you don't have to like that too much. So I want you to not doubt God. To me, it's a false sense of humility to say, I got so little bit, I don't think it's going to matter. It has a sense of humility, doesn't it? But it's not. It's doubting God. Did the woman who gave 2 mites, did she say it's only 2 mites? No. She gave what she could. Give and you will receive. This is one of the great truths of Christianity. That Jesus said, you know what? If you lose your life, you can find it. It's counterintuitive. If you give, you will receive. How? How would that work? First of all, you cannot outgive God. Do you agree with that? You can't outgive God. When you come to a Christmas party, you want to go to the party where God is, right? Which one is God going to? That's the one I want to go. If you want to go to a gift exchange, see what God brought, okay, and want that. And of course, God brought Jesus. That sounds like a pretty good gift exchange. Give your life, you get Jesus. All right, so how's that look? How do you do that? You come holding your heart, God, here's me. Here's my heart. Here's my life. God wants us to give Him what we have. Okay? Just what you have. Don't go, okay, let me go get something else and make it really big and give it to God. No, give to God what you have. Our talents and our passion. Passion. Give that to God. And see what God gives back. God is a great exchange agent. He takes our monies and gives us back so much more. Because what we receive from God cannot be bought. You know, us giving our money, our talents, and our passion, we give that to God. And what we get from God, we can't buy. And it's so amazing. We keep our money thinking, oh, God, what's God going to do with that? I'm going to keep it. And what we get so much more from God is all this here. Look at that. Faith, hope, peace, love. We get so much. We have already received these wonderful gifts, haven't we? For all of us that are Christians. But the thing is, as we give more to God, we get more of this. We grow in our faith. We grow in our hope. We grow in our self-control. We grow in all the spiritual gifts. As we grow with God, God grows in us. Isn't that amazing? As we grow with God, God grows in each one of us. It's humbling, it's powerful, it's transformational. And that's what you need to know. You need to have that vision, I'll say God's vision, in each one of you. You need to have that faith of what God can do with each one of your loaves and fishes. Because to doubt that is to doubt God's power. It's to doubt God's vision in each one of us. What if that little boy didn't come forward with the loaves and the fish? He might have said, there's not enough faith here for me to feed these people. He did that before, didn't he? There's not enough faith here for me to heal people. And he left them hungry. And he must, who knows? Jesus is so amazing, so wonderful. Do you know the miracle he did after this? He walked on the water after this. The disciples saw this great miracle, walked on the water, and they still said, that couldn't be Jesus. How many miracles does Jesus have to do in your life for you to finally believe that God is amazing and can do amazing things in your life? How many times? Don't you think Jesus was thinking about this all this time? How many times do I have to do amazing things in front of their eyes for them to truly give their life to me? And you may say, well, it was easy back then. They were saying it. Can you not see miracles in your life? Can you not see God's hand in your life? Can you not see Jesus changing you? If you can't, then hey, maybe He hasn't changed you. Because He does change us. And that's what I live before you. You know, Jesus said there later on in John 6, I believe it's verse 35, He says, I am the bread. You have to eat me. And that was really confusing to them. But most of the people there ate the bread that He made, ate the bread and the fish. And that's what He was saying. You ate that, but I am the bread. I am the life that you're supposed to want. And if you don't have Jesus, then you're lost. Right? If you don't have Jesus and you're not really involved with Jesus in your life, then none of this is going to make sense. If you don't have Jesus, this is the time to get. Don't wait. Don't wait for a special time or later on. This is the time. Or if you've stopped living for Jesus and you come back to Him, this is the time. This is always the time to get healthy. Please come forward as Jonathan leads us in this song.